Hello everyone, and welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott, and today I want to talk about communications a little bit. That is one of the things that I do when it comes to emergency preparedness, is I'm a comms guy, and right now I'm out looking at my antennas. I've got a 70-foot tower with a tri-band antenna on the top, and about halfway down I have a 270-foot off-center fed dipole that I use for HF. And so I'm just making sure that everything on the outside is okay. I operationally check my radios at least once a week. I am mainly an HF guy, but I do have my other radios. So I'm just kind of taking a look. We've had a lot of rain, a little bit of wind. I can't believe how much rain we've received over this past month and a half, 2 months. But I want to talk today about communications and what's going on today with the COVID-19 virus and what we should be doing as communicators, or I should really say what I'm doing as a communicator. I'm hoping that some of you out there are considering the same things. I'm going to post this on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to put it in the communications playlist for those that just go right to that playlist. There's not a whole lot on it yet, but I keep going and adding. So, this is not going to be an end of the world event. I seriously doubt there's going to be power disruptions. It could be, but I doubt it. I think everybody will probably have whatever water source they have. They'll probably continue to use it. I don't see the whole infrastructure shutting down. I don't see cell phones going offline. I don't see cell towers going down. And I don't necessarily think that the internet's going to break. I could be wrong, but I seriously doubt it. I've seen the internet not break on far worse stuff than this, including some hurricanes. So it is what it is. So what should we be doing as communicators? Well, the first thing I think we need to consider is we need to make sure that our equipment is in good working order, because if it comes down to needing our stuff, people are going to need it, and there's not going to be any time to fix it or get it repaired after the event. So make sure your equipment's in good working order. If you have spares and backups, make sure they're in good working order. But first and foremost, ensure the safety of you and your family. That's the paramount importance, is that you and your family are taken care of. What does that mean? It means, do you have enough food? Do you have enough water? Can you maintain sanitary conditions? And can you defend your family? Those are your priorities, pretty much in that order. So that being said, if you've got all that taken care of, or at least to the degree that you either can or will, then what do you do as a communicator? One thing you don't want to be is you don't want to be a solution looking for a problem. Sometimes in our zeal to serve, we overlook things. I've seen communicators insist on using their radios when cell phones are working just fine. I've seen them try to use some of the various digital modes when email is working just fine. I've seen them try to use radios to send digital data when the fax machine right next to them is working just fine. As a communicator, we start with the best form of communication and then we work our way down. So if your cell phone is working, use it. If the fax machine is working, use it. If email is working, use it. When those go away, then you gotta start thinking about the other forms: radio, HF, UHF, VHF, digital, voice. All of those, they are not as good as cell phones, fax machines, or email, because they're not as fast. They're slower, and in some cases not as accurate. So as a communicator, don't grab for that microphone when you don't have to. That being said, there may not be a whole lot of emergency communications going on. There may be some, but in general, I'm not seeing it, at least not yet. So what do you do? Well, again, you try to be an asset to your community, to your group, to your crew, and not be a liability. Some of the things you can do, typically communicators are a little bit more technically advanced than the general public. Typically, they're a little more astute at using their computers, their emails, their Google searches, their map searches, and whatever. And so use those skills. You could become, in the Army, we call it the S2 shop, the intelligence shop. You could be gathering information for your community and for your group. This might be a good time for you to start scanning some of these news sources, looking at them, and then you determining how reliable they are. And if you don't know how to determine that, there is a video on this channel called Information Reliability. Preview that, and then go to these news sources and prepare a brief, a one-page, succinct brief on the situation of what's going on, and try to keep it, somewhat local. You can branch out a little bit, but, don't worry about the whole world. Worry about what's going on, what's going to affect your group and your community, which might mean local cities, maybe your county, maybe a couple counties, at the most the state. If the governor is, having some national decrees or calling up the National Guard, and local mayors are doing something. But you can still be an asset to your community by gathering this intelligence, verifying it, and then writing up a short one-page description of what is going on. And then you can send that to your leaders and or the group, however you have that form of communication established. If you don't have a form of communication established, then send it to whoever is the group leader and or war chief and say, here's what I got, it's a brief summary. And then you can ask, would you like me to disseminate it to the crew? And then leave it up to him what he decides to do. One other thing that communicators should try to understand is that in most cases, you are not a decision maker. You are a communicator. And I have seen where some communicators thought they were decision makers, and they made bad decisions because they did not know everything that the decision makers knew. So try to stay out of that realm, but be helpful, be prepared. If you think that normal communications are going to go down, you can start prepping your crew and saying, if we lose cell service, we're going to do this. And then you define whatever this is, or your crew defines whatever it is. You may already have a protocol. We may go to protocol A or protocol B, whatever, but you can do that. But be a help. A lot of times, when stuff like this happens, especially in today's world, cell phones and cell towers and internet, they go down a lot less frequently. They do go down, but not as much. Our services are still needed because when they do go down, we're what's left. But just keep in mind that as a communicator, that you want to use the best, fastest, most efficient means possible. And if that's your cell phone, then use it. If it's down to just your radio, then use it. All I'm saying is that do the best. Do your best job, and try not to get too tunnel visioned that, oh, we have to use a radio because it's an emergency. Especially when things like cell service is working. So again, develop your intelligence gathering skills, your data collection skills. You can go on the social media and you can gather information for your crew, and then you create summaries. You're the one that may be doing hours and hours of data collection and analyzing, but what your crew needs is something down and dirty, one page, maybe a little more than a page. And when I used to write white papers and I used to write executive briefs when I worked up in Washington, D.C., I followed a pretty simple format. In the beginning, I'd have an opening paragraph of just a couple sentences describing the problem. In the main paragraph, I would cite what I see is going on out there. If there are any laws, and this could be like emergency decrees or things that the governors or mayors or police are saying. And then you can also add a little bit of how that affects the crew. And then typically in the third paragraph, again, another short paragraph, I will state my opinion. And I would start off by saying something like, in my opinion, based on the data I have seen, I believe. And then that allows, that what that does is that gives the reader of your brief a little insight. Because if you're making a brief, it's brief. It's not, 15 pages long. And so you're just, stating how you feel about something. And sometimes that gives them a little more insight on how they should respond to that. Again, it's not a call to arms. It's not a call to action. You're just saying, here's the problem. This is what I see. And this is, in my opinion, this is what's happening now. Or in my opinion, this is how I think this may affect us. And then allow your leaders to do their job. So, other than that, I hope everybody's prepared. I hope your batteries are charged, your antennas are hanging, your radios work. I hope you have food, water, and can take care of your family. And that's it for today. It rained again today. It's just amazing. I can't believe how much rain we've gotten. So you all stay safe and stay secure. And we'll see you out there.